Hello and welcome. So today we are drawing a macaw. So I'm going to start. It's a flying bird. I found this photograph that I am going to be drawing using as a reference, and I just like the direction of the wings of this bird. So we're going to start by drawing the beak, and macaws have quite long beaks. So I'll just start by drawing the beak in. I always seem to, and they've got parrots have got an undercut sort of a beak there. So I'm going to start by just drawing the head. Now, I'm going to do this in dip pen and ink as well, because I love my dip pen and ink. So I'm going to draw his eye in. Now his head is 3 times his body. So 1, 2, 3. So his tail should end about here. So I'm just going to draw the shape of his body in. I'm not going to worry about the wings just yet. Oh, that's my dog going bananas. I think he's barking at the washing machine. Sorry about that. Goodness gracious, puppy. So I'm just going to start by drawing the shape of his body, which is like it's sort of an oval shape. Hello, how are you? Yeah, all is very well. My dog's decided to bark at the washing machine. Now his wing is the same length. Actually, I've got to draw it sort of to where his tail goes. His tail goes to about there. I probably should have drawn this bird on a slight on the going the other direction, so I could use the whole page. I might do that. I'm just going to flip my page. Actually, I could just erase it and flip it. I'm going to change that direction of this bird. I'm just going to erase him out because there's no reason why I can't just change my mind and say that's going the wrong direction. So I'm going to flip him around like that, because that way I'll be able to get him better on the page. Sorry about that, because he's quite large. So get the basic shape of him in. So their bodies are a sausage shape, or sort of a, yeah, they are pretty much a sausagey shape. Now, start by drawing his head. So you can see make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes occasionally, but you can always go back and change things. If you're not happy about the way things are looking, you can adjust and readjust. So I'll start by drawing his beak in again. Come back down and around, and they've got a rounded underneath their jaw. I'm going to change the shape of his head a little bit. Give him a little bit of a more parroty rounded head, like that. I'm going to take his eye, move his eye back a fraction. The little Bear Bear's decided he's going to be a sookie. Alright, now his body, he's 3 times his, is 1, 2 and a bit times his head, nearly 3 times his head. So 1, 2, we'll say 3. 3, and that takes it out to his tail. So I'm just going to draw his body in first, and then I'll draw the wings in. So I've got him towards the bottom of the page because 1, 2, 3. Then his tail feathers can come out here. And he's sort of turned towards us. So this is his tail feathers all sort of splayed out. So just draw the long feathers there. Like that. The problem with drawing live, you can make mistakes. Well, it's not a problem, it's actually good. It shows people that everyone makes mistakes. All the videos aren't perfect. Um, then his wings are the same length as his body, so I'm going to have to tilt the wings back. They're about just behind his little shoulder there, and the same length. They go to the top, literally to the top of the page, like that. And he's got a long flight feather there. Can come down. I'm just going to rough in the shape. I can adjust it. And it's going to come in about there. Okay, then this one goes up to the top of the page, or it goes up and across there, and then up to the top of the page. Make it a bit. I'm just going to rough in the shape. And then I can adjust and readjust. So I'm just literally roughing in where I think I want things. I'm going to change the angle on this wing a little bit so it looks a bit more bent, I think. That makes it look a bit more bent and a bit more natural. It was looking a bit too straight before. So coming down and around the back there like that. Okay, and I'm going to draw his legs tucked up under his little tummy like that. But I'm just going to do this in ink because I really like to sometimes just to sketch and draw with ink. And I'm going to have his other little leg tucked up under here. And his little claws are wrapped like that, curled up. And you can have a bit of fun with detail, I'm going to do ink washes, and I'm going to use just a lot of hatching and cross hatching, I think. I'm just looking at his body. I think I've got his body a bit too fat there, so I'm going to take it back in a bit there. I've got my kneadable eraser here. So I'm going to just erase that little line there and adjust this wing again because I've made his little body a bit too chubby. There we go. And then I'm going to bring his body down there. That looks a bit better. And I'm going to lengthen a couple of these tail feathers. Might pop another one in. I might bring that one up a fraction. I'll erase those two. Oops. And take that there. Add one there and a longer one coming down here. And another long one coming down, like that. There we go. So, having a quick look, I'm quite reasonably happy with the shape of that now. I'm just going to start to draw in a few feathers. I'm not going to do a whole lot, I'm just going to suggest them. Like that. But to get the shape of the underneath feathers in. Like that. Okay, so I've got itchy eyeball. That's basically the shape of those feathers. And now, as you can see, I've outlined these top feathers. But I'm going to draw them in a bit more detail now. Like that. And then come down into these other feathers down here. And take them back towards his back. And then go around like that. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to get my ink now. Where's my ink thingy? I'll just use a watercolour palette. Where is it? I had it. I'll just grab a fresh watercolour palette. That's okay. From over here. And I'll just pop some ink into this. So I'm going to grab a little squish of ink into that top pan, which you can only just see on screen. got a bit of cloth to wipe my pen with, and I'm just going to start. I'm going to clean my pen. Just dip it in water and make sure it's nice and clean. And we're going to start with the outline. And at the end of it, I can erase the pencil lines if I want to. Alright, so his beak starts about there. I'll make that a little bit taller, a bit longer. Come down here. So this is just showing you that drawing with a dip pen can be fun. I do love drawing with dip pens. I just love ink in general. So I'm just going to do some stripes down his beak. And then I will draw his bottom beak. And all you just got to remember to draw your lines in the directions that the feathers, the beak, everything, the direction everything is growing and flowing is the direction you want to do your pen marks. So I'm going to draw his little eye back here. And they've got quite a round eye. Like that. And I'll draw his pupil in the middle, like that. So he's looking like a parrot now. A beautiful parrot. And I'll draw, macaws are a very brightly coloured bird. Superly brightly coloured. But I'm doing him in black and white just because it's fun. And I love drawing things in black and white. I might add watercolour at the end, undecided, but for now I'm just going to stick with my dip pen in black and white, and I'm just going to draw in the direction he's going. I'm going to give him black out his little pupil like that, and then I'm going to change the shape of his head just a little bit. Just going to give him a bit more of a feathery look around here, just with tiny little line marks. And then come down. I'll give him his little cheek feathers. Take that line around, little cheek feathers, and just scribble those in, going down there like that. Alright. Come back up there, joining back into the back of his head. He's got speckles around his eyes. Speckles and little marks. So we're going to draw those in. Like that. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to draw his little body coming down here. And then going up towards his tail. And we can see his other little leg coming down here. And I'm changing everything a little bit as I go. I'm not sticking completely to the lines. As I see things need a little bit of adjustment, I can adjust. Draw his little claw turned around at the back here. Like that. And then I can see two of these little claws coming around here. So I'm just going to draw them like that. One coming around there, like that. Alright. I'm happy with that. And this other leg up here is sort of tucked up. Like that. And I'm going to draw a couple of his little claws here. Like that. Come around. Like that. And I'll draw his little back claw Coming around the back there and tucked in like that. Okie doke. Now I'm going to go back up to the front. If I work any more there, I'm going to rest my hand on it and I'm going to damage it. So I'm going to go back to the front and start on these wing feathers. And I'm going to start by narrowing that one off and roughing it a little bit, roughing the edges. I don't want hard lines because feathers are soft looking. So I'm just going to start with that first feather and follow those lines down the direction of the feathers. Again, I'm going to jaggedy up that feather a little bit and drag those lines down to create the movement and the effect of feathers. And just follow that idea all the way down all the feathers on his wings. So I take that down there like that. Okie doke. Come back around here. And I'm going to add more of the sort of fluffier feathers down closer to his wing bit here in just a second. Like that. Just add those feathers in. And add this feather. And then these are more together feathers, like they're slightly different structure of feathers. And I'm just not doing exact detail, it's just a sketch. Just a sketch. So it doesn't have to be perfect. And you can see this has taken me a couple of goes from start to finish. Like I've rearranged it and moved it and changed the picture a couple of times as in the drawing phase, the pencil drawing phase. Okay, quite happy with that. Now I'm going to come in and just add a little bit of detail to those feathers there, because there's other feathers on this part of the wing that I'm going to draw in. Now they come around like that, and I'll draw in that bottom part of the wing like that, and then a few little lines just to suggest little feathers on the lower part and a bit of shadow as well. Alright, now I can go back onto this other wing and take it up here and then back to the edge of the paper. And again, I'm just going to jaggedy the edges because feathers aren't perfect, and draw those lines onto there in the direction of the feathers, always going the direction of the feathers like that. And I'm going to add another couple of feathers down here because this is on a slightly different angle to that wing. So some of the feathers are in behind, so you're only going to see like an edge of them until you get down to the bottom like that. And because that's the top of the wing, this is the underside, so it's a slightly different perspective. So I'm just roughing in the shape there, and you can only see the underside of these feathers, so I'm just going to start to draw them in and just draw little scribbly lines in the directions. So just little lines. Keep going around, working my way down the wing like that. just to get this wing structure in and done. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to come up here and actually make this, because it's the bone at the top of his wing, I'm going to make that a little bit stronger by darkening that up like that, just to strengthen that. Then come down and around. Looking at my big screen to get perspective. Okay. Right, now I can come onto his body and start to draw just a few lines, just to give a sense of direction, the way he's moving. And I'm going to take this down the sweep of his tail. I'm going to move my ink a little bit because it's getting in my hand's way. I'm going to come around here and I'm going to draw in all of these feathers coming out the back here and disappearing off in behind that leg. Okay, come and take that one right to that edge like that, and then down here. Oops. Doesn't matter if I've messed up the line a little bit because I'll be drawing little lines in the middle, but their feathers sort of twist when they fly, so that's okay. And it is just a drawing for fun. Alright, come down here. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I might make this might do a couple more. Do a shorter one down under here. Sort of twist it around like that. Alright, I'm happy with that. So then I just draw in the actual lines. So it shows you can do it. You can suggest a lot with little bits of lines and little squiggles. It can create. It's a fun way to sketch. It's a fun way to sketch. I'm going to draw the center line down this feather, and I'm just going to literally just do little lines in the direction of the feather coming off his tail. Alright, having another look. Okay, so draw another line down the center of this feather very lightly. And the beauty of dip pen and ink is the pen marks are not exactly the same. You get thicker lines, thinner lines, depending on how hard you press. You can add more ink. See, at the end it gets darker. Alright, follow another line down here. Got to be a bit careful I don't rest my hand in that because it's still wet, so it will smudge. So I've just got to keep my hand up off the paper a little bit. Okay, come back around, and I might even add some brush strokes, like I might get a watered down ink and do some light washes over the top of this, just to help add a bit of shadow. I'm just adding these pen marks onto the tails for now. Got to bring these tail feathers up a bit more onto the back of the bird, the back end of the bird. Alright, come down here, and you can see I'm holding the pen quite a ways back down the pen. Okay, come back down onto this side like that. We're getting there. We're definitely getting there. Come down here. And that is a very, very simple way of drawing feathers. And I'm just suggesting the lines in the direction that they're flowing. I've got to get a bit more detail onto this foot. and get that leg in. Okay, so I'm going to now clean my pen, my dip pen, grab my brush, and I'm just going to use, where's a nice little watercolour brush? Just a little watercolour brush, and I am going to dilute my ink, just get a little bit on one of these other little pans over here, and I am going to add watered down ink, just treat it like watercolour, onto the beak and onto that bottom part of the beak. I'll make it darker or lighter as I go. I'm going to darken up these top feathers by just adding a little wash over the top. I can erase the pencil marks at the end once it's all dry. So I'm going to come up here and add these washes like that. And just take that down all of his feathers, and you can still see the pen marks through that where I'd done the lines before, and that just connects all that in nicely. I'm going to add a little bit of shadow here like that, and I'm also going to shadow on the top of his head because that's a strong colour on this little bird like that. There we go. And I'll add a little bit of shadow under here, coming down onto this leg, and take that right down onto his little feet and then under his tail. Go onto this little leg, and I'll draw in these little claws so that you can see that little leg's sort of tucked up. I'm going to go onto this wing now. So I'm just going to add a very diluted wash. I'm going to put a bit of a shadow under this wing onto his back like that. And I'm going to wet my brush, clean it, wet it, and drag that around a bit more and onto his little tummy. Alright. And once ink's on the paper, you can sort of blot it a little bit. Like I can lift that off because I do think I've done that a bit strong. So I'll just literally pat it with my cloth that I've got in my hand, and that just takes the tone down a fraction, just a little bit. So now I'm going to come up and start to work on these feathers over here. Take that around there. And just fill in these bottom feathers that are the darker feather, they're shadowed, so they're going to have the ink on them, like that. And you can see how that's coming to life just with a little bit of a wash. You don't need bright colours, you can do everything in black and white. I'm going to just cover over these tail feathers with that same diluted ink wash, like that. Just sweeping down with my brush. Again, same thing on each feather, just repeating exactly the same process. Exactly the same process, taking it right to the end of the feather, like that. That feather's a bit thicker, just take it right to the end. And I'll add another layer of ink just in under here because this is all darker shadow under his little bottom, like that. Okie doke. Come down here, take that right through, and fill in that bottom one. And that's him filled in pretty much. Like, it's a very simple, very fast, easy way to draw and get the same effect that I would with a watercolour. I'm just not using colours, I'm just using black and white because I like that. I like the effect of monotone. I'm just going to darken up these underneath here is all completely in shadow, so I'm going to strengthen that dark. Hello, Joyce! I'm here, but I have to go out in 10 minutes. This is going to be truly lovely. Oh, thank you. How are you, doll? How are you? Finally actually get to have a chat. Oh, that's good. It's lovely to catch up with you, doll. I'm just having a bit of fun with black and white ink. I just love my ink work. Love doing ink, love drawing. So I'm going to now start to darken any of the darker areas. I can see I've got to try and keep the brush strokes soft. It's lovely to see you. Yeah, this is a quick stream before work because I've got to go to work myself after. But I try to do a sketch a day for a while. I'm going to try and keep this up and do it at like an hour sketch or a half-hour sketch each day. Just pick a subject and draw. So I've got to wet my brush, see if I can move that ink while it's still a little bit damp. I can drag it down the tail because it looks a bit too harsh. So I drag that. That's better. That's not so hard a line. I'm doing great. No Walker, and I can't only outdoors. Lovely to see you. Oh, lovely to see you too, doll. I'm glad you're doing well. Very glad you're doing well. So I've got to darken up just a little bit in here. Got to be a bit careful. I don't want to make it too heavy. Darken up in there because that's in shadow, just there. Sort of going up onto his back. I'm going to darken up the top of this beak now. He's nearly done. Like, he's a very simple. Black and white simplifies everything. It makes it so much easier because you're not having to deal with colours, and I find black and white artwork much easier to create. Much easier to create when you're on a time limit, and you still want to have fun with painting and drawing. But you only need black ink and a pen and a brush. So I'm just going to add a little bit more shadow because this starts to bring it to life. So where are you off to for the day? Or it's probably night time there, isn't it? Or afternoon there. It's just morning here. So I'm just adding shadows in different spots helps to give it three-dimensional effect. So I'm adding a little bit of dark at the bottom, a little bit at the top, and see that brings it to life a little. I love colour so much. I'm glad the world has so much colour. Yeah, I wish I could beam down under and see you. Oh, but until they perfect beaming. Gotta go. Oh, no worries. Have a great time with your hubby, doll. Hugs back to you. Have a wonderful evening. Whatever you're doing, have fun, doll. It is wonderful to see you. All right. And hi to hubby. So I'm just now adding just some fun little shadowy bits onto underneath of his feathers. Again, just at the base and then at the tip. And I know it just makes it look like there's a bit more movement. We have to go to Ellie's other grandma and pick up some things for her as we are having her overnight. Oh, wonderful! Excellent! Oh, that'll be lovely. Enjoy! Okay, so I'm now going to just create a little bit more shadow on this other little back leg here. Got to just darken that up because it's on the underside of the bird. So just darken that up a fraction just so that's more in shadow. Hello, David. How are you? Thank you very much. Thank you. It's lots of fun. I'm just going to shadow in amongst this foot, not over the toes, but around them onto these under feathers on his tail. And just sweep that down onto those darkest shadows on the bottom feathers. Thank you so much. Okay. I'm just having a quick look at my top screen because looking at a big screen is like looking in the mirror. It gives you a different perspective, and you can see any faults, anywhere you need to add shadows, anywhere you can need to add things. But he's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy. It's not far from done as far as sketches go. Like, I wanted to just do a quick, fun, easy bird sketch just to show you that you can have fun with just black and white and just a pen. I'm going to darken up this bottom beak because it's completely in shadow. So I'm just adding another layer of ink, a little bit less water, a little bit more ink. And I'm having a quick look at my big screen again, and I'm pretty happy with him. So I'm just going to, I'll darken this line. There's not a whole lot more to do. Darken this line and take it around his toes on this foot and underneath of his little thigh. Darken that up again. Just starting to get the tones in, but I think I am going to darken just there, and I am going to call this done. Because as far as sketches go, I'm pretty happy with that. When this dries after, I'll erase these little pencil marks. I can just erase over the top of the whole thing, and it'll all pop, and the ink will just show up then. And I'm just going to sign it down here, because that means it's done. Put 2023, just with the very tip of my brush. Oh, I wrote the wrong year. 2023. There we go. And that is done. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. I will be back tomorrow with another sketch. I have no idea what I'm going to draw. But if you've got any ideas, just pop it in my chat and I'll check it out if you want me to draw anything specifically, and I'll have a go at whatever subject. I like drawing anything. So I'll have a try at pretty much anything. So you leave a suggestion in the chat down below, in the box down below, and I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you for hanging out. It was lovely to see you all. Have a great night, day, morning, whatever it is, wherever you are.